You were born, and assimilation was immediately enacted. The sacred miracle of life that you were bestowed by the universe was tarnished the moment the doctor touched you. You are no longer a sacred human being in this time, in this location. You are now nothing more than a commodity. You are now livestock. Dumb luck has everything to do with where you are born, and it is dumb luck that condemns you to a future of servitude that is nearly impossible to escape. Again, you had no choice in the matter. You were merely born into some bounded area that humans before you claimed as their own, having already in place government, economics, social customs, cultures, ideologies, religions, laws, resources, and history. Now, you, the imprinted consciousness, who looked forward to an existence of freely exploring reality, are suddenly limited to this bounded area and coerced to behave in accordance to customs, cultures, laws, governance, and economics within this bounded area. You, the newborn, are soon to have papers to prove your pedigree, and in your life to come, you will forever be accompanied by, as well as be chasing, papers of some kind to validate and further your pedigree and value. Your very first paper you will be assigned is your birth certificate, which confirms your date of birth, given name, sex, and birth location. Soon after, you will likely receive a vaccination booklet. Your footprints and fingerprints are now somewhere on file. In the future, you will receive many kinds of papers permitting you to enter school, proving your capability to remember information and pass examinations. You may acquire certifications to enhance your education or labor opportunities. You may win awards for your physical beauty, strength, speed, endurance, recitation, or critical thinking skills. You may have papers for a myriad of contracts and ownership, including state-sanctioned bonding and reproduction. You will have many papers regarding your wages and income and taxes. You may have papers regarding punitive measures, and one day you will have papers confirming your death. You are livestock with a paper trail, now becoming ever more digital and inescapable. In the practice of animal husbandry, livestock are given papers by their owners to prove their validity, right to exist, capabilities, strengths, talents, hardiness, and regarding mating and breeding and various other metrics. Though you think yourself a higher ordered creature than an animal, the fact is you are not. To the entitled elite ownership ruling class, you are simply livestock, and to them, you must be managed as animals. And the purpose of domesticated animals are to be pets, perform tricks, be beasts of burden, and the harvesting of organs and flesh for consumption. I say to you, most precious newborn, that you were dehumanized and assimilated to be used as a burnt offering the moment you took your first breath. You are nothing more than livestock whose destiny is to toil and die upon the altar of the most noble sacrifice for the cult religion of the system you happened to be born into. Your life is not about you, nor was your forefathers, nor was your ancestors. Your life, their lives, were all and are all about maintaining the system. For the past 5,000 years, It has always been about the system in the form of national empires: Mesopotamian, Indus, Egyptian, Mayan, Chinese, Babylonian, Greek, Persian, Roman, Aztec, Inca, Holy Roman, Portuguese, Spanish, Dutch, British, German, Japanese, Russian, and American, to name a few. Now, since the world is globally interconnected and highly technical, empires are not so much about national pride as they once were. Now, national empires have transmorphed into corporate empires, and that is today's modern system that you are sacrificed for. A multicultural representation of the G20 leaders who seem to be enemies but meet very often to control world events. The world has truly become a global plantation that is beyond race, creed, color, religion, sexual identity, or preference. Now, there are only the rulers and those who are ruled. Nothing has changed despite the superficial softening of diversity and inclusion and cosmopolitanism, as still the system is still above everything and comes before all else, as dictated by the humans or group of humans who hold power over the subjugated. They hold such positions of power, for they are wise and know better than you, for they stand upon the tallest structures and look down upon you, the livestock, who they believe that they are entitled to manage, breed, work, and rule. For over 5,000 years, across countless languages, over the entire planet, and across all different forms of economic and government isms, the commandment has always been the same. Your purpose of existence, dear citizen, dear serf, dear slave, dear freedom-loving voter, is to serve the needs of the system. It is a most noble sacrifice, for it is what God has commanded. Failure to comply will result in punishment, banishment, ostracization, imprisonment, torture, or death. 5,000 years is a very long time. 5,000 years has given the entitled elite ruling ownership class plenty of time, practice, and refinement to social engineer a society to benefit them. More than likely, 5,000 years of human social engineering have likely bred subservience into your DNA and psyche, not much different from cattle, sheep, and chickens. But of course, for many, the desire to be free overrides hundreds of generations of breeding humans as livestock, for humans likely had 100,000 years or more of freedom preceding the rule of the entitled elite ruling ownership class. There is something very deep in some of our DNA and some of our psyche that overrides the 5,000 years of social engineering by the ruling elites that harkens back to a simpler time where humans hunted and gathered and collaborated freely in small tribes. Still, old habits are hard to break, especially with modern peer pressure and scientifically created control mechanisms which keep the majority of humanity corralled. Yes, it is hard to accept that you are livestock to the elites who rule over bounded areas. No one wants to think themselves an animal in bondage. But if anything has been shown and proven since 9/11, and especially since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, you are nothing more than livestock to your governments and corporations, who have basically turned the earth into a one giant plantation monitored by real-time digital surveillance. Unlike previous generations where one could simply move to a new frontier to be free, all lands have been conquered and turned into plantation farms. In this point in history, There is nowhere to run and start anew. You are corralled like a horse, like a penned cow. They do with you as they please, despite how free you think you are. The system now comes in many popular names like capitalism, socialism, communism, fascism, dictatorships, republics, oligarchies, monarchies, theocracies, democracies. But calling essentially the same thing by different names doesn't matter, for they are all hierarchical structures where the few control the many by means of cultural peer pressure, economic coercion, artificial scarcity, and money. And all your leaders from all your different systems say the same thing in one way or another. You, precious child, your body and souls are to be placed upon the altar of the most noble sacrifice, and you should be honored with this honor and obligation most high. There is no higher honor than to spend your entire life to maintain and protect the system, to pursue knowledge to support the system, to toil an entire life away for this system, to breed more progeny to perpetuate the system, to go to foreign lands to fight and die for the system, to keep in line those domestically who challenge the system, and to serve your lords, the creators and maintainers of the system. Your blood, sweat, and tears are mixed to create the most powerful octane, to be combined with the fire of your mind and the power of your flesh to power the system. And your flame burns honorably upon this sacrificial altar until it grows dim and disappears forever. You, dear child, a burnt offering to power this system, born upon the altar of the most noble sacrifice.